Lieutenant Maya Collins sat alone in her cell and waited to die. The small room had gray walls made of cold metal. There was no bed, only a hard bench. A tiny window showed the stars outside, millions of them, bright and beautiful. Maya looked at them and wondered which one was Earth. She would never see her home again. The Voltari had given her 72 hours. 72 hours until they would take her to the execution chamber. 72 hours until everything ended. She was 31 years old. She had served in the Human Defense Force for 9 years. She had been a good soldier, a loyal officer. None of that mattered now. The Voltari did not care about her service record. They only cared that she had refused to follow orders. The order had been simple. Fire on the civilian transport ships. Kill the 3,000 humans trying to escape from the mining colony on Kepler Station. Maya had looked at her weapons console. She had seen the ships on her screen, small dots moving slowly through space. She had thought about the families inside. The children. She had said no. Her commanding officer, a Voltari named Vorax, had been surprised. Humans did not say no. Humans followed orders. Humans knew their place in the galaxy, which was at the very bottom. You will fire, Vorax had said. His voice was cold, like metal scraping against metal. The Voltari were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were black and empty. They had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years, and they did not accept disobedience. No, Maya had said again. So they had arrested her. They had put her on a transport ship and sent her to the Crucible, the largest prison station in Voltari space. They had given her a trial that lasted exactly 4 minutes. Guilty of treason. Guilty of refusing orders. Guilty of being human. Now she sat in her cell and counted the hours. 3 decks below Maya's cell. In the dark maintenance tunnels that ran through the station like blood vessels, a man named Cole Harper was fixing a broken air filter. He had been fixing things on the Crucible for 11 years. Air filters, water recyclers, waste disposal systems. The jobs that nobody wanted to do. Cole was 43 years old. He had brown hair that was turning gray. He had a thin face and quiet eyes. He was not tall or strong or handsome. He was the kind of man that people forgot as soon as they stopped looking at him. This had saved his life many times. The Voltari guards walked past him every day and never saw him. He was just another human worker, invisible and unimportant. He carried his tools, he fixed the machines, he stayed silent. The guards had more important things to think about than a maintenance worker. Cole finished the air filter and moved to the next task. A water pump on level 7 was making strange sounds. He walked through the tunnels, past pipes and wires and control panels that he knew better than anyone else on the station. He had learned every system on the Crucible. He knew which doors had weak locks. He knew which cameras had blind spots. He knew which guards were lazy and which ones were cruel. He had collected this knowledge slowly, carefully, over 11 long years. He had been waiting for the right moment to use it. Cole reached level 7 and stopped. The tunnel ahead was blocked by a security door that should have been locked. It was open. He looked around, making sure he was alone, then stepped through. The room on the other side was old. Very old. The walls were made of a different metal than the rest of the station, darker and smoother. Strange symbols covered the surfaces, symbols that Cole had never seen in any Voltari database. He had found this room 3 years ago, hidden behind a false wall that the Voltari had built. They had built the entire station around this place. They had been studying it for centuries, and they had failed to understand what it was. Cole understood. In the center of the room sat a navigation console from an ancient ship. The ship itself was buried deeper in the station, enormous and silent, waiting. Cole had spent 3 years learning how to read the symbols, how to activate the systems, how to unlock the secrets that the Voltari could not crack. The technology was not Voltari. It was older than the Voltari by millions of years. It was human. Cole touched the console, and it glowed with soft blue light. Information flowed across the screen, star maps and coordinates and technical data. The ancient ship had been waiting for a very long time. It had been waiting for humans to find it. He heard footsteps in the tunnel behind him. He quickly turned off the console and slipped back through the security door, closing it silently. A guard walked past, heavy boots echoing on the metal floor. The guard did not see Cole. Nobody ever saw Cole. That night, Cole sat in his small quarters and thought about the human officer who was scheduled to die. He had heard the other prisoners talking about her. Lieutenant Maya Collins. She had refused to kill civilians. She had chosen to die rather than murder innocent people. Cole had been a coward for 11 years. He had kept his head down. He had survived. He had told himself that survival was enough. But he had found something that could change everything. The ancient ship was powerful beyond anything the Voltari possessed. The star map showed locations of other hidden technology, other ships, other weapons. Everything that humanity needed to fight back. He could not do it alone. He was a maintenance worker, not a soldier. He did not know how to lead a rebellion. He did not know how to inspire people, but Maya Collins did. She had been willing to sacrifice everything for strangers. She had the courage that Cole lacked. He made his decision. He would save her. He would show her what he had found. And together, they would either change the galaxy or die trying. Cole gathered his tools and began to plan. 72 hours was not much time, but it was enough for a man who knew every secret of the Crucible. It was enough for a man who had spent 11 years learning how to be invisible. Maya Collins did not know it yet, but her execution had just been cancelled. The nobody was going to save the doomed woman, and after that, they were going to break the world apart. Maya woke up to the sound of her cell door opening. She jumped to her feet, her heart beating fast. It was too early. She still had 48 hours left. The guards were not supposed to come for her yet, but it was not a guard standing in the doorway. It was a human man in maintenance clothes, holding a small toolbox. He was thin and ordinary looking, the kind of person she would normally forget in seconds. "Who are you?" Maya asked. "My name is Cole Harper," the man said quietly. "I fix things on this station. I have been here for 11 years. Why are you in my cell?" Cole looked over his shoulder, checking the corridor. "I am here to get you out. We have about 6 minutes before the next patrol comes through." Maya stared at him. "Get me out? That is impossible. This is the Crucible. Nobody escapes from the Crucible." "Nobody has escaped before," Cole agreed. "But nobody knew what I know." He reached into his toolbox and pulled out a small data chip. "Take this." Maya took the chip. It was warm in her hand, as if it had been recently used. "What is this?" "Proof," Cole said. "Proof that the Voltari have been lying to everyone for thousands of years. Proof that humanity is not what they told us we are. I do not understand." "You will. But first, we need to leave this place." Cole stepped back into the corridor. "Are you coming?" Maya hesitated. She had accepted her death. She had made peace with it. Now, this strange man was offering her hope, and hope was dangerous. But she was a soldier. She had trained to fight, to survive, to never give up. She had only stopped fighting because there was nothing left to fight for. Maybe there was something now. "Lead the way," she said. They moved through the corridors in silence. Cole knew every turn, every camera, every patrol route. He guided Maya through service tunnels and maintenance shafts, always staying one step ahead of the guards. "How do you know all this?" Maya whispered. 11 years is a long time," Cole replied. When you are invisible, you learn things. You watch. You wait. They went down, deeper into the station. The walls changed from clean metal to something older and darker. Maya felt strange energy in the air, a hum that she could not hear, but somehow sense. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To the secret that the Voltari have been keeping for centuries." They reached a heavy door covered in strange symbols. Cole touched a panel on the wall, and the door slid open. Maya stepped through and stopped breathing. The room was enormous, and in the center of it sat a ship dot. It was beautiful. The hull was smooth and silver, covered in the same strange symbols she had seen on the door. It was bigger than any human vessel she had ever seen, bigger than most Voltari warships. Light glowed from within it, soft and blue, like starlight captured in metal. "What is this?" Maya breathed. "This is what they built the crucible around," Cole said. "They found it floating in space 300 years ago. They have been studying it ever since. They cannot make it work. They cannot even open the doors. But you can?" Cole nodded. "It only responds to human touch. Human DNA, human thought." He walked toward the ship and placed his hand on the hull. The metal shimmered and a hatch opened with a soft hiss. "It has been waiting for us." Maya followed him inside. The interior was like nothing she had ever seen. There were no buttons, no screens, no controls that she could recognize. Instead, there were smooth surfaces that glowed when she touched them. Information appeared in the air, floating images and text in a language she did not know. But somehow, she understood it. "How is this possible?" she asked. "The ship teaches you," Cole said. "It connects to your mind. It shows you what you need to know." He sat in what appeared to be the pilot's chair. More information flowed around him. "I have been coming here for 3 years, learning. The ship told me its history." "Our history? Our history?" Cole turned to look at her. His eyes were serious. "Humanity did not evolve on Earth, Maya. We were placed there. We were created by an ancient race called the Originators. They built an empire that covered the entire galaxy millions of years ago. Then something destroyed them. A war, a catastrophe. The survivors hid their technology and seeded life on thousands of worlds, hoping their children would one day find it." Maya felt dizzy. "That is impossible, is it? Look around you. This ship is millions of years old, but it responds to us. It was made for us. The Originators were human, Maya, or we are Originators. Either way, this is our inheritance." Alarms began to sound outside the ship. Red lights flashed through the windows. "They know we are here," Cole said. "We have to go now." "Go where?" "We are in the middle of a prison station surrounded by the Voltari fleet." Cole smiled. It was the first time Maya had seen him smile. "This ship has weapons that make Voltari technology look like children's toys. And I have been waiting 11 years to use them." He placed both hands on the control surface. The ship hummed, and Maya felt it rise from the floor. Power flowed through the vessel, ancient systems coming to life after centuries of sleep. Outside, she could hear explosions. The Voltari were trying to break into the room. "Sit down," Cole said. "This is going to be rough." Maya found a seat and strapped herself in. The floating screens showed her what was happening outside. Dozens of Voltari soldiers were cutting through the walls. Warships were moving into position around the station. "They will destroy us before we can escape," she said. "Watch," Cole replied. The ship shot forward. It smashed through the station wall like it was made of paper. Metal and fire exploded around them, but the ancient hull did not even shake. They burst into open space, and Maya saw the Voltari fleet waiting for them. 5 cruisers. 2 heavy destroyers. Enough firepower to turn a small moon into dust. They opened fire. The weapons that had conquered 1,000 worlds. that had enslaved humanity for generations, that had never failed to destroy their enemies, splashed harmlessly against the ancient ship. Maya watched the explosions bloom and fade, watched the energy dissipate like water against stone. Then Cole fired back. A single beam of white light shot from the ship. It hit the nearest cruiser and passed through it like the vessel was not even there. The cruiser exploded. A second beam took out 2 destroyers at once. A third destroyed the remaining ships before they could even try to run. The battle lasted 12 seconds. Maya sat in stunned silence. She had spent her entire military career fighting the Voltari with inferior weapons and outdated ships. She had watched friends die because human technology could not compete. And now she had just seen an entire fleet destroyed in the time it took to draw a breath. Now do you understand? Cole asked quietly. The Voltari are not superior. They are thieves. They stole fragments of originator technology and used it to dominate the galaxy. But they only have fragments. We have the real thing. Maya looked at the data chip still clutched in her hand. What else is on this? Coordinates. Locations of other hidden caches, other ships, other weapons. Everything the originators left behind for their children to find. Cole turned the ship toward the distant stars. We can fight back, Maya. We can free our people. We can take back what was stolen from us. Maya thought about the 3,000 civilians she had refused to kill. She thought about Earth, trapped under Voltari control. She thought about every human who had suffered and died because they believed they were weak. They were not weak. They had never been weak. They had just forgotten who they were. Where do we start? She asked. Cole smiled again. There is a hidden base on a moon in the Kepler system. The originators stored enough technology there to build a fleet. We start there. The ancient ship turned toward the stars and jumped into faster-than-light travel. Behind them, the crucible burned. Ahead of them, a galaxy waited to be freed. They called the ship the Wanderer. It was not the name the originators had given it. That name was too long and too complex for human tongues. But the ship accepted Wanderer, and so that became its name. Maya spent the first 3 days of their journey learning. The ship taught her through dreams and visions, pouring information into her mind while she slept. She learned about the originators, their history, their technology, their fall. She learned why the Voltari feared humanity so much. She learned the truth. They know, she said to Cole on the 4th day. They were sitting in the ship's central chamber, surrounded by floating screens and soft blue light. The Voltari have always known what we are. That is why they treat us like animals. Cole nodded. They found records when they first discovered originator technology. They learned that humans were the direct descendants of the empire builders. They learned that we had the potential to reclaim everything. So they decided to destroy us. They tried. For 200 years, they tried to wipe humanity out completely. But we were too spread out, too numerous. So they changed their strategy. They conquered us instead. They told us we were primitive. They told us we were weak. They made us believe that we deserved to be slaves. Maya felt anger burning in her chest. All those years, all those generations of suffering, all because they were afraid of what we might become. Yes, but they made a mistake. They thought they had broken us completely. They thought we had forgotten. Cole touched a control surface, and a star map appeared in the air. They were wrong. The map showed the galaxy in glowing points of light. Hundreds of locations were marked in blue, scattered across space. These are the caches, Cole explained. Hidden storage sites where the originators left their technology, ships, weapons, manufacturing systems, medical technology, everything we need to rebuild. Maya studied the map. There are so many. The originators were thorough. They knew the collapse was coming. They had time to prepare. They hid their legacy across the entire galaxy, hoping their children would find it when the time was right. And the Voltari never found these caches. They found a few. That is where their technology comes from. But they could never operate originator systems properly. They could only copy and adapt what they found. Cole pointed to a blue marker near the edge of the map. This is where we are going. The Kepler cache. It is one of the largest. The Wanderer dropped out of faster-than-light travel 2 days later. Maya stood at the viewport and looked at a small gray moon orbiting a gas giant. It looked completely ordinary. There was no sign of hidden technology, no indication that anything important was buried beneath the surface. "Are you sure this is the right place?" she asked. "The ship is sure, and I trust the ship." They landed on the dark side of the moon in a crater that looked like 1,000 other craters. But when Maya stepped out of the ship and placed her hand on the rocky ground, she felt something respond. The surface began to shift. Panels that had been hidden for millions of years slid open. Lights flickered to life in the darkness, revealing an entrance carved into the crater wall. "Welcome home," Cole said quietly. They walked into the cache together. The corridor was wide and tall, built for beings larger than modern humans. Maya wondered if the originators had been giants, or if they had simply liked large spaces. The corridor opened into a vast underground chamber. And in that chamber, Maya saw what the originators had left behind. Ships, hundreds of ships. They hung in silent rows, supported by energy fields that had been running for millions of years. They were different sizes and shapes, from small fighters to massive carriers. All of them were dark. Waiting dock beyond the ships were manufacturing systems. Rows of machines that could build anything from raw materials. Medical bays with technology that could heal wounds and cure diseases that the Voltari had no answer for. Training systems that could teach combat and tactics directly into a person's mind. And weapons. So many weapons. Maya walked among the ships, touching their hulls, feeling them respond to her presence. Each one recognized her. Each one was ready to serve. "We could take back the galaxy with this," she breathed. "We could," Cole agreed. "But we cannot do it alone. We need people. We need pilots and soldiers and engineers. We need to bring our people here and show them what they have forgotten." Maya thought about Earth, about the billions of humans living under Voltari rule, believing they were worthless. How do we reach them? The Voltari control all communications. They would destroy any ship we sent before it got close. Cole smiled. The Wanderer is not the only ship that can break through their defenses. And we do not need to reach everyone. We just need to reach the right people. They spent 3 weeks at the cache. Maya trained with the ship systems, learning to fly the ancient vessels, learning to use the weapons. Cole worked with the manufacturing systems, producing equipment and supplies. They studied records and made plans, and then they sent out a message. It was a narrow beam, aimed at specific locations on Earth and the human colonies. It used frequencies that the Voltari had never discovered, hidden channels that the originators had built millions of years ago. The message was simple: coordinates, a time, an invitation. "Do you think anyone will come?" Maya asked. "I think humans have been waiting for this moment for 200 years, Cole replied. "I think they will come." They did. The first ship arrived 10 days later. It was a small cargo vessel, battered and old, held together with patches and hope. 3 people stepped out of it. 2 men and 1 woman. They looked tired and scared and ready to fight. "We received your message," one of the men said. His name was Lucas, and he had been a resistance fighter for 15 years. "We thought it was a trap. We came anyway. Why?" Maya asked. Lucas looked at her with eyes that had seen too much suffering. "Because the message said something we had stopped believing. It said there was hope." More ships came over the following weeks. Resistance fighters and escaped slaves and ordinary people who had simply decided they could not take any more. They came in ones and twos, then in dozens. They saw the cash, the ships, the weapons. They learned the truth about their heritage. Some cried. Some laughed. Some simply stood in silence, overwhelmed. Maya trained them all. She taught them to fly the ancient ships, to use the technology, to fight. Cole organized the logistics, making sure everyone had food and shelter and equipment. Together, they built something that had not existed for 200 years, thought an army. "We are not ready," Maya said one night. They were standing on a platform overlooking the ship bay, watching pilots practice maneuvers. "We have 300 people and 50 ships. The Voltari have millions of soldiers and thousands of warships. We will never be ready," Cole replied. "But we cannot wait forever. Every day we delay, more humans suffer. More humans die." Maya knew he was right. She had seen the reports from Earth, smuggled out by resistance contacts. The Voltari were cracking down harder than ever. Executions had tripled. Entire communities were being relocated to prison camps. "If we attack and fail, it will make things worse," she said. "If we do not attack at all, things will never get better." Cole turned to face her. "You did not refuse to kill those civilians because you thought you would survive. You did it because it was right. This is the same." Maya thought about the woman she had been in that cell on the Crucible. She had been ready to die for her principles. Now she had to be ready to live for them. "Then we attack," she said. "We go home. We show them what we are." Cole nodded. "I will prepare the fleet." Maya looked out at the ships, at the pilots' training, at the army that had formed around two people who had been nothing. A doomed woman and a nobody. They were still nothing, really. Just two humans with a dream. But dreams could change the world, and they were about to change the galaxy. Earth was beautiful from space. Maya had not seen her homeworld in 6 years. She had left as a young officer, eager to serve, ready to prove that humans could be valuable to the Dominion. Now she was returning as something very different. She was returning as a liberator. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 50 ships. 300 crew members. It was not much compared to the Volturi forces waiting for them. But every ship was an originator vessel. Every weapon was millions of years more advanced than anything the Voltari possessed. "Contact," Lucas called from his station on the Wanderer's Bridge. 7 Voltari cruisers moving to intercept. 2 dreadnoughts holding position near the orbital stations. Maya studied the tactical display. The Voltari fleet was positioned to protect Earth from any threat. They had been guarding humanity's prison world for generations. "They are hailing us," Cole said from his position beside her. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, and a Voltari commander appeared. He was tall and gray-skinned, with the cold black eyes of his species. His forearms were folded across his chest in a gesture of contempt. "Human vessels, you are in violation of Dominion law. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with deadly force." Maya stood up from her chair. "Commander, I am Lieutenant Maya Collins of the Human Liberation Fleet. We are here to free our people. You have one chance to withdraw your forces peacefully." The Voltari commander laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You threaten us? With 50 ships? Against the Dominion fleet?" He leaned forward. "You humans have finally lost your minds. We will destroy you and use your wreckage as an example." "You can try," Maya said. She cut the communication and turned to her crew. "All ships, battle formation. Weapons free." The Voltari cruisers opened fire first. Their weapons were the most powerful in the known galaxy, capable of melting through any human ship in seconds. They had destroyed thousands of vessels with those weapons. They had never failed. They failed now. The energy beams splashed harmlessly against the originator shields. Maya watched the attacks flow around the Wanderer like water around a stone. The hull did not even vibrate. "Return fire," she ordered. The ancient weapon spoke. White beams of light cut through space. The first Voltari cruiser exploded before its crew could even understand what was happening. The second and third followed within seconds. The remaining 4 tried to retreat, tried to regroup, tried to call for help. It did not matter. In less than 2 minutes, all 7 cruisers were destroyed. The human fleet had not suffered a single casualty. Maya opened a channel to Earth. Every communication system on the planet received her message. Every human who could see a screen saw her face. "People of Earth," she said, "my name is Maya Collins. I was condemned to die by the Voltari for refusing to murder innocent people. Today, I am still alive. Today, I have returned. And I have brought the truth with me." She transmitted the historical records, the information about the originators, the proof that humanity had once ruled the stars. "The Voltari have lied to us for 200 years. They told us we were weak. They told us we were inferior. They told us we deserved to be slaves. Every word was a lie. We are the children of the greatest empire this galaxy has ever seen. And we are taking back what is ours." The transmission ended. Maya turned to the tactical display. The 2 Voltari dreadnoughts were moving now, advancing toward the human fleet. "The big ones are coming," Lucas said. "Dreadnought class. Heavy armor. Triple the firepower of the cruisers." "It will not matter," Cole said quietly. The dreadnoughts opened fire with everything they had. The space between the fleets filled with energy beams and missiles and plasma bursts. It was the most devastating attack the Voltari had ever launched against a human target. The human ships flew through it like it was rain. Maya gave the order, and her fleet fired back. The first dreadnought broke apart in a cascade of explosions. The second tried to flee, tried to jump to faster than light speed. A beam from the Wanderer caught it before it could escape. It died alone in the darkness between planets. On Earth, people were watching. In cities and farms and underground bunkers, humans saw the impossible happening. They saw their oppressors dying. They saw human ships winning, and they began to move. The resistance cells that had hidden for years came out of hiding. Armed groups that had been waiting for a signal finally received one. In 20 different locations, humans attacked Voltari installations. They seized communication towers and power stations and weapons depots. "Reports coming in from the surface," Cole said. "Uprisings in North America, Europe, Asia. The resistance is taking control of major cities." Maya felt hope rising in her chest. "Send landing teams. Secure the orbital stations. I want every human on this planet to know that help has arrived." The landing operations took 3 days. The Voltari garrison fought hard, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The ancient weapons were too powerful. The human rage was too strong. Building by building, city by city, Earth was freed. Maya walked through the streets of New Chicago on the 4th day. The city had been a Voltari administrative center, filled with their soldiers and bureaucrats. Now it was filled with celebrating humans. People lined the streets, cheering, crying, reaching out to touch her. As she passed, an old woman grabbed her hand. Her face was wrinkled, her eyes clouded with age. "I never thought I would see this day," she said. "My grandmother told me stories about freedom. I thought they were just dreams." "They were not dreams," Maya said. "They were memories. And now they are real again." Cole found her that night in the command center they had established in the old Voltari headquarters. Reports were flowing in from across the planet. The occupation was crumbling. Human forces were taking control everywhere. "We won," he said. Maya shook her head. "We won a battle. The war is just beginning. She pointed to a star map on the wall. There are Voltari fleets in 100 systems. There are human colonies still under their control. The Dominion is not going to accept this defeat. I know. Cole sat down beside her. But look at what we have done. A month ago, I was a maintenance worker on a prison station. You were waiting to be executed. Now we have freed Earth. Maya looked at him. This ordinary man who had found something extraordinary. This nobody who had changed everything. Why did you save me? She asked. You could have escaped alone. You could have taken the Wanderer and disappeared. Why risk everything for a stranger? Cole was quiet for a moment. Because I was tired of being afraid. Because I spent 11 years hiding, and I hated every day of it. I saw what you did, refusing to kill those civilians. I saw someone who was willing to sacrifice everything for what was right. He met her eyes. I wanted to be that kind of person. I thought maybe, if I helped you, I could become that. Maya smiled. You were that person all along. You just needed a reason to show it. A communication officer interrupted them. Commander Collins, we are receiving messages from the outer colonies. They want to join us. They want to fight. Maya stood up. The war was not over. It had barely begun. The Voltari would send everything they had to crush this rebellion. Millions would die before it was finished. But for the first time in 200 years, humanity had hope. Send them the coordinates of the cache, she ordered. Tell them to come. Tell them to bring everyone they can. She looked at Cole. We are building an army. Cole nodded and stood beside her. Then let us get to work. Outside, the sun was rising over a free Earth. The first sunrise of a new era. The first sunrise of the war that would break the galaxy apart. The war lasted 3 years. Maya had known it would be long and brutal. She had prepared herself for losses, for setbacks, for the slow grinding work of breaking an empire that had stood for 12,000 years. She had not prepared herself for how hard it would actually be. The first year was the worst. The Voltari threw everything they had at the rebellion. They sent fleet after fleet to reclaim Earth. They attacked the hidden caches, trying to destroy the source of human power. They executed millions of humans in the colonies, hoping to terrify the survivors into submission. It did not work. Every attack the Voltari launched failed. The originator technology was too advanced, too powerful. But the Voltari had numbers. They had resources. They could afford to lose ships and soldiers in ways that the humans could not. We lost the Kepler cache, Lucas reported one morning. His face was gray with exhaustion. The Voltari bombarded it from orbit. Everything is gone. 300 people dead. Maya closed her eyes. She had known many of those people. She had trained them herself. What about the other caches? Still secure. But they are getting closer. They have figured out our communication frequencies. They are hunting us. The second year brought hope and despair in equal measure. The human fleet grew to 300 ships. New recruits arrived every week from the liberated colonies. They found 2 more caches that the originators had hidden, including one that contained something extraordinary. Knowledge, not just technology, but history. Records of the originator empire at its height. Information about their science, their culture, their philosophy. And most importantly, information about their enemies. The collapse, they learned, had not been natural. It had been caused by a war against an enemy from outside the galaxy. An enemy that the originators had defeated at terrible cost. They had sacrificed their empire to save the galaxy. They did not fall because they were weak, Cole said, studying the records. They fell because they were strong. They gave everything to protect their children. Us, Maya said. All of us. Every species in this galaxy. The originators seeded life everywhere, hoping that one day their descendants would rise again. Cole looked at her. The Voltari are not our only enemies. The threat that destroyed the originators is still out there, somewhere. That is why they left all this technology behind. They were preparing us. Maya felt the weight of that knowledge settle on her shoulders. They were not just fighting for freedom. They were fighting for the future of all life in the galaxy. The third year was the turning point. The human fleet had grown to 800 ships. They had liberated 40 systems. They had freed billions of humans and other species who had suffered under Voltari rule. And they had pushed the Dominion back to their core worlds. Cole had become the most feared human in the galaxy. He operated from the shadows, just as he had on the Crucible. He sabotaged supply lines. He corrupted communication networks. He turned the Voltari's own systems against them. They called him the Ghost. They offered rewards for his capture that could buy entire planets. He remained invisible. The final battle happened above the Voltari homeworld. 300 human ships faced the last fleet of the Dominion. It was the largest battle in galactic history. Thousands of vessels. Millions of lives. Maya commanded from the bridge of the Wanderer, where everything had started. The Voltari High Commander sent a message before the fighting began. His name was Korvax, and he had ruled the Dominion for 80 years. He was old and tired, and knew that his empire was dying. "Why do you fight us?" he asked. "We gave you species order. We gave you purpose. You were scattered and primitive before we came. We made you part of something greater." Maya looked at him on the screen. This alien who had enslaved her people, who had murdered millions, who had tried to erase everything humanity could have been. "You did not make us part of something greater," she said. "You stole our future. You took away our choice. You told us we were nothing, and you almost made us believe it." She leaned forward. "But we remembered. We remembered who we are. And now you will face the consequences of what you did." The battle lasted 6 hours. The Voltari fought with the desperation of a dying empire. They knew that this was the end. They threw everything they had at the human fleet, every ship, every weapon, every strategy they had developed over 12,000 years of conquest. It was not enough. The originator technology was simply too powerful. The human fleet cut through the Voltari armada like a blade through flesh. Ships exploded. Stations burned. The defenses of the Voltari homeworld crumbled. Cole worked from his station, coordinating the attack, finding weaknesses in the enemy formation, guiding human ships to where they could do the most damage. He was not a soldier. He had never wanted to be a soldier. But he had become something more valuable. He had become the mind that made victory possible. The battle ended when Korvax's flagship exploded. The High Commander died with his crew, refusing to surrender, refusing to accept that his empire was over. Maya looked at the burning wreckage of the Voltari fleet. 3 years of war. 3 years of death. 3 years of fighting for something that had seemed impossible. It was finally over. "The Voltari command is requesting terms," Lucas said. His voice was hoarse with emotion. "They are willing to surrender." Maya thought about what she could demand. She could order the extermination of the Voltari species, just as they had tried to exterminate humanity. She could destroy their worlds, burn their cities, erase them from history. She thought about the civilians she had refused to kill 3 years ago. She thought about what the originators had sacrificed. She thought about the kind of galaxy she wanted to build. "Accept their surrender," she said. "We are not them. We will not become them." The Voltari surrendered. Their empire ended not with genocide, but with justice. Their leaders were tried for their crimes. Their military was disbanded. Their slaves were freed, but the species survived. They were allowed to keep their homeworld, their culture, their future. They were treated the way they had never treated others. They were treated with Mercy. The victory celebrations lasted for weeks. Across the galaxy, humans and other species celebrated the fall of the Dominion. They danced in the streets of 1,000 worlds. They cried for the dead and cheered for the living. Maya did not celebrate. She stood on the bridge of the Wanderer, looking at the stars. Cole found her there, as he always did. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "Everything that comes next." Maya turned to face him. "We have won the war. Now we have to build the peace. We have to create something better than what came before. We will." Cole stood beside her. "We have the technology. We have the knowledge. And we have each other." Maya smiled. This man who had been nobody. This man who had saved her life and changed the galaxy. When I was sitting in that cell on the Crucible, waiting to die, I never imagined this. Neither did I. Cole looked out at the stars. "I spent 11 years hiding. I thought I would die in those tunnels, forgotten and alone. Instead, I found you. I found purpose. I found something worth living for." "What was that?" "Hope." He turned to look at her. "You gave me hope, Maya. When you refused to kill those civilians, when you chose death over murder, you showed me that humans could still be good. That we could still be heroes." Maya thought about the journey they had taken. From a prison cell and a maintenance tunnel to the bridge of an ancient ship. From two broken people to the leaders of a revolution. "We did not do this alone," she said. "We had hundreds of thousands of people fighting beside us. We had the originators looking out for us, even after millions of years. We had the courage of everyone who refused to give up." "True." Cole smiled. "But it started with us. A doomed woman and a nobody. Two people who had nothing left to lose." Maya nodded. "And now we have everything to build." She looked at the star map. Thousands of systems. Billions of people. A galaxy waiting to be healed. "The originators left us their technology because they believed in us," she said. "They believed that their children would rise again. They believed that we would create something beautiful. Then let us prove them right." Maya took Cole's hand. Together, they had broken the old world apart. Together, they would build a new one. The Wanderer turned toward the stars, and humanity's true journey finally began.